Welcome to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by Haven, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello and welcome to another Haven Hubcast podcast. I am very excited to be here today with Dr. Hilary Berger. She is the founder of Work Like a Mother. She's also the creator of an award-winning career counseling method, integrating careers and motherhood, and is also a therapeutic career counselor and licensed professional counselor. You can tell I was reading that, but I wanted to get all the words in. Welcome, Hilary.
Thank you. Thank you. So great to be with you, Nancy. I'm excited to talk with you.
I know. We were talking beforehand. We said, this is just like coffee, except we've got microphones. It's going to be great.
Perfect.
Hilary, I know the work that you are doing in the world in terms of helping women, figuring out what their work looks like that's best for them and their families and their careers is very important, has been for a long time. Is this what you set out to do when you, were in college or when you were in school and said, when I grow up, I want to be a career counselor for women? Walk us through the journey that brought you here. And with this, a lot of times we do for those that which we needed.
Absolutely. And you say that so beautifully. And absolutely not. It was definitely not what I imagined my career would look like as a young woman. And yes, very much so. Work Like a Mother was created really in response to my own experience as a very ambitious therapist and educator who really enjoyed a great career and, sort of approached motherhood with a lot of excitement and with a little naivete as well. And really was not positioned in any way for the decisions that I had to face about parenting my children the way that I wanted to, and also feeling like myself and using my skills and my talent. And I really loved my career. So I was really blindsided by this experience and decided after my own journey to try to rewrite the rules and to rewrite the script, really using women's lives as the template for how to approach career development and decision-making rather than through old-fashioned, traditional, sort of male-centric career pathways. So
nice.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that with you. So I was part of that group. I'm going to date myself now, but in the early 2000s that opted out, right? There was a whole trend and there was a writing about it and people with degrees and amazing careers did the opt-out scenario. And I like you, I didn't have a plan. I just always knew intuitively, like when something feels wrong, it's going to change and I'll figure it out. I was lucky to hang on to something, but I do feel like I patched a lot together. At what point do women or your ideal clients come to you? Are they at the crossroads? Is it before they become a parent or mother? Is it, oh my gosh, 20 years later? I mean, and they haven't been working? What does that journey look like in terms of how you work with them?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I would say that that's evolved over many years. I've been doing this work for over 20 years. And so I would say for the first chapter of Work Like a Mother, my client women would come to me sort of in the middle of their parenting experience, who opted out, who were home, who were feeling very personally shut down, experiencing a loss of identity and confidence and just not feeling like their best selves. And so that's how I created services that were really counseling, education, training, sort of a one-stop shop, which really validated the unique reality for very, capable, accomplished women who were not having any access to their competencies prior to having kids, And there was no language to really label what was happening to them. And so they would blame themselves for not feeling fortunate or feeling like something was wrong with them, that they weren't fulfilled in the role of parenting and, completely fulfilled. And again, it's never about comparing either or, right? But the question is how women should have the choice to parent their children as they want to and their heart tells them to.
Right.
But also be relevant throughout their life and thrive and have access to their selves and their goals to fulfill their promise, So this was never really created in our society. And in fact, the cues for women, the very subtle cues about this are very confusing and really add to the struggle. Yeah.
And it's interesting you said that was the first chapter, because I can remember being at networking events and speaking with women who were a little bit younger who were like, oh no, they hadn't had children yet. And they were sort of, oh no, I'm laying out the groundwork. I'm actually phasing out of my corporate job. I'm setting up my side hustle before I have babies. And I just remember kind of going, whoa, never even occurred to me. So I'm assuming maybe that's what you also saw playing out in the next chapter of your business or the next chapter of your work.
That's right. And so for me in doing research, so I come from a very academic place with this work also. And so what I found was really the need to help girls and students and young women first making career decisions to have the framework that motherhood actually is a legitimate aspect of their career development and to acknowledge this role as something to be thinking about and preparing for so that, like you said, women who are in corporate can be strategizing for how they could have options, right? The word is options, right? So what happens to so many accomplished, highly educated, successful women is that the industry they chose does not give any sort of leeway for, part-time or a type of role where they're not completely invested. And so women find themselves for 10, 20, 30 years being completely outside of using their intellectual skills that they really enjoyed. And so that's where this came back to. And so I talked to a lot of young women who, because the other end of this is that women today are putting off having families because they just can't envision how they ever can do that, right? How do they stay in their careers and earn the money that they're earning and still raise their children? I think that while there's lip service to a more family-centric environment, and some companies are really walking their walk, it's still without the framework and the common acknowledgement that, women one day, if they choose, become mothers, and that, raising your children is part of your decision-making, and it's a beautiful stage of life. Right. And so this is it's actually been taboo in the career development language, whether it be with employers or HR or doctors or it just is never discussed in the framework that enables women to have power. And that's been a lot of my work in creating this new model to think about.
I love that. So you almost answered my question. I was about to say, so has that changed, or was it changing, or has pandemic shed a light on maybe what I think I'm hearing you say, the problem is still really there when we saw how many women had to sort of stop working when somebody had to be home caring for the kids, right?
Well, I think what you could notice, I think there's never been more of a clear visual truth about the expectations of women, the roles of women when push comes to shove at the end of the day. And we saw that with millions of women being without choice to leave their careers, many of whom were, providing the incomes that were needed and insurance and right. But you could see that there were no supports or infrastructures built into what happened to women during that time. And so you could see what I mean by the lip service, right? I would venture to say that if men were needed to exit the workplace, that there would have been very different governmental and societal resources and
Put into
supports and
place.
policies built in. But there is a unconscious DNA in our world about women and their roles, and in spite of the accomplishments of women in the workforce, and the fact that 50% of women comprise the workforce for a
Right.
long time, right? So you could see that. But yes, I think the beauty of this time is that it has brought to light sort of the contradictions around this conversation, and I do think that women more and more now feel that having a career, LinkedIn actually legitimized a career break. And so like the veil has been pulled away, right? So at least now there's conversation about, the fact that it is absolutely doable to raise your children the way you want and still be professionally viable and relevant. And that it is really women's responsibility to themselves and their brain and their aging and their financial viability, that they are able to have a framework that supports them to grow, learn, thrive, earn, so that they don't find themselves after 20 or plus years, feeling so psychologically, emotionally shut down and with obsolete skills, right?
Yep.
That's not a life that many women who started their careers a certain way would have imagined for themselves. And so I really try to help women to prevent that.
So many questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me keep building on that in terms of when somebody comes to you. Are they at a crisis? Are they in preventative mode? And it sounds like yours is much more about helping them think through the design, the plan, the mindset, the conversations. You're not, I just want to be clear, you're not helping them actually find that gig. You're setting them up for success for whatever future work comes their way or family structure comes their way. Am I hearing you correctly in terms of what that looks like?
Well, yeah, I think part of what you're saying is actually very, very true. On the other hand, what I would say is I'm very much hands-on with helping women find their, pursue their career and find their, chosen professional activity. That's the word I use.
Oh, good.
I sort of redefine career for women. And I have a very different philosophical approach about what career relevance looks like and what work looks like. And so, I would say that women do come to me, many women who are ready, when you see the words work like a mother, it speaks to those it's meant to speak to, right? So
perfect.
When people are ready to do this work, and it is very much a healing process first, right? It's a recovery of self. It is a mourning of what for many feel has been lost. It is a redefinition of mission and vision in life for what we want from our life and what we want, how we want to impact in our lifetime, the world, whether it be through paid work or otherwise. And so part of it is very much a counseling, healing, self-discovery process done both individually and in a group, in a community, which is a beautiful experience for, now thousands of women. So, and it leads into more of the traditional career development, career assessment, clarification of purpose and goals and job search. And there have been different academies focusing on each segment of the journey. But recovery of confidence and having ways to, we're very proud. Women, moms are very proud. We're bright. We don't like to look foolish or be vulnerable. And so for me, the work that I've designed is very intentionally designed to integrate, small, attainable, realistic initiatives that rebuild confidence and give women a pathway back into the world that they want to be part of, right? And so it's a very nuanced, intentional design for slow, steady, progress to build confidence again. Confidence is everything.
Yeah. And I I'm having these images of, such an amazing sort of foundation that you're helping them build, no matter what that, path takes them on,
That's right.
having watched I'm not sure you use this language, but erode or, kind of, it gets, what's the opposite of unshorn? Like, it's not shored up. It's been sort of eroded away. Right. And so building that.
Yes.
I love that you touched upon community, because I can imagine there is power in the vulnerability as well as the building up of others who see you or see each other.
Yes.
And are in the same boat. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I think the other part of this, and I would assume it's a huge part of yours, is the nobody knows what it's like. I'm going through this by myself. I'm all alone. So I love that there's a community element of this for you or for your work.
Yes.
That has to be a lot where magic happens as well.
Oh, yes. I think that we can't underestimate the power and the destruction caused by isolation and loneliness around questions of ourself, of who we are. And so having community, and a large part of the experience being part of work like a mother is being connected to other like-minded women who are sharing your experience. And so a lot of the initial part of the work is creating a very, language and to label what has happened, how one feels, because it's not really commonly discussed or validated, right? This experience of loss of self, loss of confidence, and, having sort of losing hope for one's future outside of the role of parenting is very, very debilitating for women, right? And also a great regret for many, which I really try to work with women earlier on, is because they really want to model. There's a part of them that really wants their children to experience them in their full light, right? When women are doing their thing and using their own skills and intellect and are trying and challenging themselves and, excited and passionate, like when children experience their mother very differently. And so that's one of the benefits of sort of this recovery and reinvention, for lack of a better word.
I love that. And that was going to lead to one of my other questions, and it touched upon either the children of these women who are doing this work, and or if the language and the structures and the policies get in place, is there a hopeful future where you might not have a job? And I say that with mad respect, right? Like that this isn't a challenge or an issue for the next generation of women. I don't wish you to be out of business, of course, Hilary, but
No,
I hold that vision that this isn't, you're still teaching people new language in this capacity 20 or 30 years from now, but I don't want to be naive.
well, it's a wonderful idea. I do think there's something extremely sort of unexplored about women's journeys and the intricacies and the intersections of their roles. And so, yes, absolutely. My goal is always for young women to just be able to say, oh, yeah, when I become a mom, I'm going to take my finance degree and I'm going to create this wonderful, innovative service so that I could have flexibility and options and raise my children the way I want to, right? But right now, that doesn't exist, even today, right? Some may have moms that share this idea with them, but, I have two daughters this age, and, I've been drilling this into their minds and all their friends' minds. But, it's when it's not validated in the education system, even when you go and you're pregnant and you're seeing an OBG, there is no discussion of your well-being and your vitality and your relevance and what makes you happy and feel, what brings you joy and challenge, right? It just it's a silent epidemic. It's almost as if, like a rite of passage, which has to end. And so, yeah, I hope I'm out of business in that way, for sure. That's my
I know you'll be doing
wish.
great things. But we'll hold that vision that you're doing great things, and because you've already succeeded in your work now, and the world is lucky to have you.
Aw.
Hilary, I want to touch upon Haven. That's how I got to meet you, and obviously some fantastic, amazing working moms at Haven who I've considered role models for myself. But I also know there's some powerful communities being built again, bringing people into the Haven community who have not necessarily had the greatest success or coming back into the workforce or are figuring out what their role of mothering looks like. What brought you to Haven or how has Haven been, I don't know, a benefit to you or what's Haven meant to you?
Oh boy. I mean, I look at Felicia's work and her vision. It is a masterpiece in terms of realizing the needs and the realities of what women need to thrive. And so to have a way to show up to an environment that actually sort of lifts you, mirrors back to you, reminds you that you're smart and capable, where there's women who are also sharing in the roles of caring for children, also caring for aging parents. To have a women-centric work environment is absolutely brilliant. And this is done so beautifully and thoughtfully. It is, so creative. And to have not only a wonderful environment to work, but to also have opportunities to meet other professionals who are really good at what they do. They're passionate and I don't know, when you meet a woman with a mission, that energy just is like contagious, and there's so many
true.
capable women here who just love to do different things. And I think they are a living example of the kinds of professional initiatives that are possible that don't necessarily look like a traditional full-time job where you're taking a train to the city, right? So this is a success story in every way. And it should be, duplicated everywhere because having support and collaboration is so important. And I think we all know what that feeling of being in our own, women have a lot of self-doubt and question about their own capabilities sometimes. And so all you have to do is walk in the door, right? And you're able to put that on a shelf and be reminded of your excellence and your, excitement for what you're trying to do. And, it just is, it's sort of it's a perfect example of the philosophy that, through my work. So I just can't say enough about this environment.
I love that. I mean, we all have our lens. I love how the lens you use to describe Haven. And I think to your point, a lot of amazing role models there. And, coming in there for the boost for the people is certainly one of my favorite things as well. Hilary, thank you so much for your time. The work you are doing is so important. Thank you for your having this mission and holding space for this type of work. We certainly need it. How can people find you if they want to connect? What's the best way?
Yeah, so Work Like a Mother is easy to find me online, www.worklikeamother.com. And I have a website that describes my services, and I work with women in different ways. I really try to make my services accessible to all. And so I work one-on-one in a counseling environment and also run different types of classes, some 8-week, 4-week, 10-week, also more like academies that focus more on skill building and branding. But the cornerstone, the flagship program is really the Fast Track to Reinvention, which is really teaching the Work Like a Mother model, which is about the healing, the validating, and the very systematic way to rebuild confidence and relevance. And that's really my greatest gift that I could give the work.
I love that. Fast Track to Reinvention. I'm calling it out, so we make sure to put it in the notes as well.
Yeah.
Hilary, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for your time.
Too,
and
thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Haven Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Haven is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. Haven is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the Haven community online at haven.com. That's HAYVN.com. Haven Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.